I apologize for that, so to make it up, got a joke for you. The train is going across country. It's very crowded. A rather large middle-aged woman gets on with her miniature poodle. After searching, she manages to find a small compartment with 2 seats, and she takes one. A rather large middle-aged man gets on the train, and after searching for a while, finds and takes the seat opposite her. Train leaves the station. The dog doesn't like the look of the businessman. He starts yapping. Guy asks the woman to quiet the dog. Lady tries to shush the dog, but he keeps yapping. So the businessman, he pulls out a cigar and he lights it. The lady says, "You can't smoke in here." And the guy says, "Well, you can't have that dog making all this noise." So the dog keeps barking. They keep arguing. Guy's blowing smoke rings in the lady's face and the dog's face, right? The whole car starts telling them to quiet down. Finally, the conductor walks into the compartment and says, "I'll settle this." And he pulls the cigar out of the guy's mouth and chucks it out the window. Then he grabs the dog off the woman's lap and he chucks it out the other window. Now, of course, the businessman is horrified. The woman is beside herself with tears. A mile up the track, the train slows down and pulls into the station. The man and the woman get out and they look down the track. And guess who's running up to the station? Yeah, the little dog. And guess what he has in his mouth? No, the yellow brick. Now, Andrew, when you asked me if I would speak to you, I replied that I would be honored. And I am honored, and I would like to tell you and these fine folks why. I've had the pleasure of watching you mature in a quiet manner, to observe you take humble steps towards manhood. I have seen you take on some unpleasant challenges, such as stepping into leadership roles when you did not want to shoulder the responsibility. And I saw you do this without complaint. During a class rotation on improvisational acting we had at the Land, I witnessed you take a complicated exercise and turn it into a sweet and funny story free of pretense. I have seen you extend your hand, offer assistance to a classmate with whom you have had conflicts. Now, you didn't need to offer your help. You could have easily turned and walked away when you saw him struggling. Instead, you walked up to him and asked if you could help. This past year, I have seen you do this a lot. Help without being asked and without any need for praise and without any desire to say, "Look what I did." Shelley came into the library this spring and she told me a story from your 4th level Outer Banks trip. When driving back to Greensboro, the adults were negotiating the highway around Raleigh, and as it was a new highway, they were confused as to how best to do it. Shelley told me that you, Andrew, hearing the discussion, came and sat up front to help them navigate. Shelley said, these were your words: "Let me show you how my mom did it." When all the adults around you didn't know what words to say to bring you comfort, you knew exactly what to say to let them know that you were going to be okay. I've really enjoyed getting to know you and getting to know your dad a bit. But I regret that I never knew your mom. Because I look at you and I see her love and work, and I consider her to be as fine an artist as ever lived. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present Andrew Stupnitsky.
Thank you, Pete, for that wonderful speech. I'd like to say thank you to my mom and my dad for sending me to this wonderful school that I will never forget. I'd like to especially thank my mom, because without her say in my education, I probably wouldn't have attended Greensboro Montessori School. I say this because my dad grew up in public schools throughout his life and didn't see a problem with sending me to one. At least that's how I see it. In being here for 11 years, I'll never forget all the fond memories that I have from my childhood and adolescent years. first teacher, Carmen Romero. She was so nice to me and helped me with everything I needed, and I thank her so much for that. I remember the first day of first grade. I was talking with Kathy Swinsky about how similar and confusing our last names were. We both agreed upon the fact that no one could say our last names right on the first try. I will never forget hearing Heather's voice every day and laughing at her English accent just a little. Thank you, Kathy and Heather, for putting up with my hard-headedness, which I received from my dad, of course. Thank you, Kathy Moses, for teaching me the early concept of division and always supporting me through the tough times. Before 4th grade, my mom informed me that I was in John Archambault's home base. I wanted to be with Eleanor Farlow because rumor had it she was the nicest. When I found out that I was with John, I literally cried for 30 minutes because I was really scared of him, to be honest. And I can bet that he didn't know that until just now. I had a great time with John, though, and he taught me so much in English and history. Thank you, John, for all the laughs that we had in the 2 years I spent with you. Lastly, thank you to all of my middle school teachers. You have all helped me so much in my time here, and I don't know if I could ever repay you. If I ever had any problems in middle school, I had my advisor, Pete, to talk to. We all started out a little bit uncertain about Pete because of the class that he was teaching us. In 6th grade, we didn't see eye to eye as much as we do now. I think that's because he's gotten cooler. Another person who was always there for me was Senor Walter, but unfortunately he left after my 6th grade year. It was a sad day when we devoted the garden to him as a farewell, but it definitely shows his hard work. Senor taught me so much Spanish and how to be a respectful young man, or at least he tried. Sandra taught me so much Spanish as well. Thank you, Pete, Senor Walter, and Sandra for having my back. Morgan and I didn't always agree on everything either, but we had an overall positive relationship. He might agree with me. He taught me so much in history class as a 6th grader, and it's still sticking with me to this day. Morgan, sometimes in transitions and wellness, I think that you would try to embarrass me. You'd always point out the fact that you wanted kids to be just like me, because I made good grades and had a little bit of athletic ability. I'd always think to myself, Morgan, please stop talking, but you just keep going. Everyone always agreed with him as soon as he asked for our opinion, so he'd stop. Thank you so much for your help over the years, Morgan, and teaching me about how to be a gentleman. I've always loved math, and that love grew when Doug Williams became my teacher because he makes every class positive and fun. If my math teacher in high school is anywhere nearly as good as the teacher that you've been to me in middle school, Doug, I'll be happy. Thank you, Doug, for helping me succeed in my favorite class.